Good morning and welcome to the 2014 Technology Summit on Cinema. I'm Pat Griffis, SMPTE's Education Vice President, and I'd like to welcome you here. And I'm really impressed since it's 9 a.m. on Saturday morning in Las Vegas, and this is a pretty full house. So that just tells me how excited many of you are about the technology we're going to do today. So to begin, before we get into the conference, I'd like to welcome our SMPTE President, Ms. Wendy Aylsworth, who is also Senior Vice President at Warner Brothers, to give us a few words. Wendy?
Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good. First, I really want to thank NAB for the lovely music this morning. I love the Beatles. I'm sure most of you do as well, and I've just been really happy over there listening to the music and singing along. As many of you know, SMPTE will be celebrating its 100th anniversary in 2016. In preparation, we look back at everything we have achieved, including an Oscar, 6 Emmys, our important work and our growing membership that now includes more than 6,000 members and 230 institutions. We now seek to position SMPTE to support the advances of moving imagery engineering and education for another 100 years. In preparation, we conducted a study last year to look at raising funds for a centennial celebration. I'm pleased to announce that the results of that study were very encouraging. In fact, they were so encouraging that the board has turned its attention to significantly expanding SMPTE's projects and programs for its members. We learned in the study the following items. There is a great regard for SMPTE and its contributions to the industry, and for its professional development of its members. Nearly everyone had a favorable view about raising funds for the society, whether they be an individual or helping us approach companies. Everybody was very positive about the 3 pillars of our basic mission: membership, standards, and education. The findings regarding volunteerism, leadership, and advocacy were among the best that this particular consulting firm had ever seen. There is great confidence in our society and the financial condition of our society. As a result, I'm happy to announce that SMPTE is planning to initiate a centennial celebration campaign. It will start this spring, and I'm grateful to a volunteer committee of major leaders of the industry who are joining me on this campaign to help us move it along. Those members are Chuck Dagis, Peter Fannin, Rich Friedel, Pete Luday, Bill Miller, Chuck Pagano, and Bob Ross. Please join me in thanking them for their work, or the heavy work that they will soon be doing. We will soon refine the concepts of precisely how that money will be raised and allocated, and we'll be keeping you up to date on this. You'll be finding this information in your regular updates from the society. Coupled with these findings, your governors got together at a strategic retreat in February where we did strategic planning to develop a list of more specific projects and programs that could be initiated to enhance our member offerings of education, membership, and standards. The governor's focused expansion in several areas, including student programs, international growth, adjacent markets, and programs for the crafts and business people. As an example of these efforts, I'm pleased to announce that we have newly established a relationship with the Hollywood Post Alliance. As you know, HPA is a highly respected organization servicing entertainment post-industry, conducting great conferences and awards programs, as well as servicing grassroots efforts to address common topics of interest in small, casual forums. Our two organizations intend to do more collaboration on conferences and programs for creative filmmakers, those that support them, and students, as well as further development of environments where technical birds of a feather can flock together in a more spontaneous setting. With all this, we look forward to an exciting year this year and the build-up to our centennial celebrations in 2016. I look forward to hearing from any and all of you who want to help in that, participate, and give us guidance. Thank you, and welcome to the weekend in Las Vegas.
Thank you, Wendy. I'd now like to welcome Barbara Lange, SMPTE's Executive Director, to give you another few announcements. Barbara?
Good morning. So nice to see such a full crowd. I'd like to thank Dave Schnuelle, the program committee, for all of their efforts in putting on this fine event. Once again, it's always a great turnout, and I think it's my fifth one already here in this role. I'd like to thank also our volunteers who are helping in the back of the room, and of course all the staff who assist in putting on this fine event. As well, I'd like to thank our media sponsors and partners, industry's partners, in the help to get the word out, and I think they did a terrific job in that. And I'd also like to thank NAB for this really important partnership in putting this event on. As Wendy outlined, SMPTE is a vibrant organization as we focus on our three areas of activities in membership, education, and standards. We have over 6,000 individual members and 230 plus corporate members who support this organization around the globe, from Hollywood to New York, from Rome to Sydney, Hong Kong, UK, Canada, and India. And it's a growing membership also in our students category as well. Our standards development is busy in both the broadcast and the digital cinema space. You'll hear much of that, of course, here over the weekend, and new work in LED lighting and electro-optic transfer formats and advertising identification among them. And I'm pleased to announce that at this NAB we will be releasing 3 new study group reports on UHD TV, on cinema sound, and on network media. And all of those are available free from the SMPTE website. In education, of course, we publish a fantastic journal. We put on events like this and virtual classroom, as well as a webcast series. And I'm pleased to report that we've just initiated 2 new webinar series, one for our executive members and another on emerging technologies. And those are very popular, and I encourage you to attend them. As we've done over the 98 years already, and we plan to continue into the next century, these are the activities that support SMPTE as SMPTE supports the industry in providing the technical information that can help you do your work better. If you're already a member, I thank you for that and invite you to stop by the SMPTE booth and say hello. If you're not a member, I hope after this weekend's activities you will appreciate what SMPTE can do and invite you to join. I also want to mention that we've just released a SMPTE app in both iOS and Android forms, and it's a quick and easy way to get all you need to know on the go in terms of SMPTE information. So I hope you enjoyed the TSC this weekend, and of course have a very successful NAB. Thank you.
Thank you, Barbara. And I'll add a few more comments about some exciting upcoming events. I'm reminded of the old Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. But in fact, in the case of this industry, and particularly entertainment technology, these are really exciting times as technology is redefining the way we tell stories going forward. And one of the, could we have our next slide, please? One of the exciting events, of course, and convergence is the internet with traditional entertainment technology, We had an event, there we go, thank you. We have an event that we did for the first time last year in conjunction with Stanford University, where we brought some of the folks who are leaders in Silicon Valley in that area with folks from Hollywood. Can we have the entertainment and the technology age slide back, please? And in 2015 and 2014, this year, we'll have that event once again at Stanford University on June. And we have some pretty interesting topics. One you see there is the big stick antenna dead, and that's with the notion of more OTT-delivered content. What's the future of traditional broadcasts in an ever-changing world where OTT service providers can move often much faster than traditional broadcast-based? The issue of race to premium, we're actually going to have an interesting evening panel on the holodeck. Many of you are Star Trek fans, might remember that. You know, that was always a sort of futuristic idea, and boy, it would never happen. But a lot of interesting convergences of technology are coming to make that happen. So we're going to have an interesting evening session on that. So I hope you can join us for that. That's June 17th and 18th at Stanford. You can go to the SMPTE website. And I think we still have an early bird registration discount here at NAB through the end of the show. So I invite you all to see if you can fit that into your schedule. Moving on, working with our partners in Europe, Europe has a much different view on how internet technology is evolving. So next slide, please. We have just are pleased to announce that we're going to take that same theme of the internet technology in the internet age and look at it from a European perspective. This is part of our SMPTE Forum series that we'll be doing in 2015 in Berlin, Germany, May 7th and 8th, hosted by Fraunhofer Institute in cooperation with FKTG. We're really looking forward, again, to taking a spin on this topic from a European perspective. So stay tuned to SMPTE for updates. So we move on to our next slide. Now let's get into the really exciting stuff, this year's Technology Summit on Cinema. And there you see the program committee. And I'll introduce Dave Schnuelle in a moment, but a couple of highlights. Dave will go into a lot more details. But I'm really excited. This first session this morning, we have 3 first-time ever presentations on some of the work that's going on in what I euphemistically call better pixels or higher dynamic range. A lot of research has been done recently trying to understand what viewer preferences are, and we'll hear 3 first-time presentations in that. One in the large screen format, of course, which is relevant to the cinema audience, and then some late-breaking work on looking at viewer preferences from our colleagues in Europe. And then tomorrow, the real highlight, I'm excited, we have 3 Academy Award-winning folks from the movie Gravity. How many saw Gravity? Raise your hands. If you didn't see it, you missed out. But tomorrow we're going to have 3 of those folks talking about some of the creative challenges as they brought state-of-the-art technology together for the first time to make a really, really amazing story. So with that, to get into more details, I'd like to introduce this year's Technology Summit on Cinema Conference Chair, Mr. Dave Schnuelle. His daytime job is Senior Director of Technology in the Office of the CTO at Dolby. And prior to Dolby, he spent 12 years at Lucasfilm working on fun stuff like Star Wars. You might remember that movie. Dave is past chair of the SMPTE 21DC committee, which does all the work on digital cinema standards. He's currently the chair of 20F, which is working on theatrical presentation standards. Dave's a SMPTE fellow, as well as a member of the Motion Picture Academy of Arts and Science. So very well qualified. Please join me in welcoming our conference chair, Mr. Dave Schnuelle.
Thanks, Pat. And thank you, Wendy and Barbara, for all those exciting announcements about what's coming up with SMPTE this year. We are happy to present the Technology Summit on Cinema as one of the Society's premier educational opportunities. And I'd first like to thank our 2014 Program Committee, who came up with all of the session ideas, and all of the SMPTE headquarters people who really put this event together for us. We also thank NAB for providing the opportunity for you to see these fine presentations. And of course, I want to thank Christy for providing the projectors for this year's event. I particularly want to thank Christy for bringing their laser illuminated projector to us. During the laser projector session later this afternoon, there will be a 3D demonstration using this projector, this laser illuminated projector with 6 primary colors on a white screen. Don Shaw from Christie will explain how all that works. Not to be missed demonstration. So a couple days ago, somebody asked me, why does NAB do a technology summit on cinema? Isn't NAB about television? And I think a couple of decades ago, that was certainly true. There was very little overlap in the production and the post-production. But once the digital intermediate got to us, we started seeing the same facilities that worked on television programming starting to work on motion picture. And I think for most of the larger facilities at this point, there's very little difference in the equipment that they use for either one of these means of getting us, getting content to us. And so that's what we're going to see, I think, during the next 2 days, is how the confluence of film and television is really changing our industry. Pat pointed out a couple of summit highlights, but we love all of our sessions equally, right, Pat? So we'll start this morning with the human vision session Pat spoke of, and follow that with a couple of case studies on movie and television production from camera to consumer, looking at how these different paths are merging. Following our lunch break, we're happy to have Chris Cookson as our keynote speaker today. Chris will look at the future of cinema, how technology changes could redefine our cinema experience. Following Chris, we'll move into a panel discussion on the future of cinema, exploring the latest advances in picture and sound and their impact on the production, distribution, and exhibition of motion pictures. SMPTE's own interoperable mastering format is the topic of the next session. The IMF is a class of standards that will help content owners get their material distributed to an increasingly wide audience throughout the world. And then we are on to our Laser Illuminated Projector Association with presentations from the Laser Illuminated Projector Association, Barco, NEC, and Christie. And again, I'll remind you about the 3D demonstration. Tomorrow, we're going to start out with a session on distributed creativity. Could we have that slide up there for second screen? Very good. Okay, just leave that one up. So we're going to start out with distributed creativity. How will the adoption of cloud-based distributive workflows for editorial, visual effects, and other processes affect the role of post-production houses? After that, we're going to have a session on high dynamic range, capturing and recreating that experience. Film was recently shot to explore that dynamic range issue. Later in the afternoon, we're going to have the second screen and cinema. Whether you like it or not, the second screen is here. And the people from Disney have been experimenting with us, and they're going to give us a good overview of their experiences with that. We're also going to have, of course, the session on gravity with the 3 Academy Award winners. We have Emmanuel Lubezki, the cinematographer. We have Steve Scott from Technicolor. We have Harry Bardak, CG supervisor, and we have Skip Livesay, recording mixer for the movie. That's also going to be a great highlight. We've also got Elizabeth Daly from the USC School of Cinematic Arts giving our keynote tomorrow afternoon. Elizabeth's going to take a look at how the changes in technology are affecting the way that new filmmakers are educated. And then we're going to finish up with a crystal ball, sort of near-term crystal ball. We've got a session on what's happening with implementing the SMPTE standards. And we've got a session on looking at some of the new technologies in screen materials, light projection, light field projection on screens, the ACES format, and Alex McDowell from USC will talk to us about world building.